Georgetown. I'm Beverly Enos, and you're watching Spotlight Georgetown. You can find us Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. This is your cable TV station. Come down, learn how to run the cameras, learn how to do some editing. You don't need any training. They'll train you here, and they have all of the equipment. So just let us know, and we'll make sure that you get to play with all the neat toys here. Now, today we're going to be talking to Kathy Sachs, who has been on the show before, and Andrea Kwiatkowski, and MiniMe.
Yay.
Okay? She's being very good. Now,
Very good dog.
you're from Georgetown.
Yes, I am.
How long have you been in town?
Been here since 1984, so that's a long time now. My husband and I have been married 28 years. We still live in the same house over on Pentucket Pond with our dogs, so it's very nice over there.
So she's not the only dog that you have.
We have two dogs, and she's called MiniMe because she looks like a mini version of Angel, who's our other dog. And many people in town remember her because she's the dog that walked 700 miles with me when I was training for the Komen Walk.
Right.
So people used to see us all around town. And now they mostly see me with the small dog or sometimes the two dogs together.
And Andrea, where are you from?
I live in Haverhill.
Okay, so, and you're actually here from the Merrimack Valley Hospice House.
Yes.
Okay, so now we know why everybody's here. Tell me about this therapy. Now, this is the therapy dog.
Yes.
Okay, so what makes her a therapy dog?
Well, you have to go through specialized training. And we found MiniMe at the MSPCA in Methuen, where Bob and I both volunteer. And we walked in on Thanksgiving 2 years ago, and there was a dog that looked exactly like the dog we had at home. So we had no plans to get a second dog, nor did we think our older dog would let us have a second dog. But that all worked out, and she'd had no training at all. She'd never walked on a leash. She'd never been to a vet. She'd never eaten dog food. She'd been raised like a child. But there was a 2-year-old grandson that used to visit, and he would chase her around the house and pull her tail. And so we think that she made it clear that she was either that she did bite him or she was going to bite him. So when we first met her, she couldn't be touched in her rear, and you couldn't touch her tail. So part of the testing, MiniMe, settle down. Part of the testing that you have to go through for pet therapy is they have to be able to be handled. They have to be good at greeting people. They have to not jump on people. They have to be good in lots of different settings. And they have to be able to be handled roughly. So the test itself, a stranger comes over and does this to her. And they actually pull her tail, not to abuse her.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot of training for her to get from being afraid of that to being fine with it. And now she's great with it. She's part poodle, so she's very, very smart. And she learns really well. She actually likes to learn. She likes to be in class. And so for her, it just progressed from one thing to another.
We're talking, she's looking at the camera. You understand this?
Yes. She understands this. She knows
she knows
I'm
this
talking
is
about
all
her.
about her.
She does. She absolutely knows that. She knows her name. She's used to being talked about. And when we first got her, Bob's mom was in a nursing home. And so we used to go visit her every week. And we started bringing MiniMe just as a distraction. And so every week we would teach her a new trick. And we would go in and she would do her trick for Grandma. She would say hi to Grandma. And then she would lay down on the floor. She would lay down on the bed. And she would go to sleep. So whether there were walkers or wheelchairs or oxygen machines or lunch trays being delivered or people screaming for help, nothing bothered her. And so we thought, wow, maybe we could do pet therapy with her, which we had heard of but didn't really know what was involved. And she's just a great little dog. And she likes attention. She likes to meet new people. And she's very good at reading people's energy levels so that when she goes into a room, she matches her energy to whatever's happening in that particular place. So we did ours through a group called Pets and People, who are out in Acton, and they have a 4-stage process you go through. It takes a couple months, and so it's Pets and People Foundation, and they have a website people can go on to find out what's involved.
Okay.
It actually shows you what the test is.
Now, did you train together, or did the dog get training and then you got training?
No, we've done all the training for her. We've taken 5 classes at the MSPCA, and we're about to start another one. But Bob and I do all her training, and the test itself, to pass, it's the handler, so me and MiniMe. So I'm the certified handler.
Okay.
And so both of us have to have a set of behaviors. And she has to, basically she has to listen to me. Like you have to walk through a pet store where they have all those great things in the baskets, like the knuckles and all that gross stuff, in baskets on the floor. And I have to tell her to leave it, and she has to listen to me. So to show that you can control her. The leave it command is one of the really important ones, because we're often in medical settings. So if there's something on the floor, you know, you have to be able to say that, and your dog has to listen to you. And she's very good. I can put a treat on the floor in front of her, and she'll leave it.
She's also famous for something else, I understand.
Well, yes, she's a performer. She's an actor. She's been in the play Annie with 4 different community groups. So she's performed in front of thousands of people. And the last one we did was 50 kids in the cast.
Wow.
So when we got her in 2011, they said she couldn't go to a house with kids because she wasn't good with kids. And now she performs with a cast of 50 kids. So that's how much dogs can transform if they're in the right place and they get the right training.
The right training and the right love.
And the right love.
And the right love.
Yep.
Now, what got you interested? You had heard about it, but you had never done it.
Right. We had just heard about it, and she's just such a great little dog. We thought that she would be able to do it. And we saw what it was like going to the nursing home. Like, we would walk through the hallways, and people would stop us and talk to us. Sometimes people would hear the dog coming down the hall, and they would ask us to come in and visit with her. And so it was kind of like we got to practice it and see what it was like. And we liked it. And she's just an awesome little dog. And Bob and I feel like she really needs to be shared with the world, that we shouldn't just keep her home with the 2 of us. And so this was a way for us to do that.
When my mom was in rehab, they had somebody come in with the dog every day.
Oh,
and
nice.
the dog went from room to room,
Yeah.
and everybody played with the dog.
Yeah.
And they loved it. The patients love it
Yeah.
because it's something different.
Right.
And it's another warm being as opposed to just staying there and not having anything to do.
Exactly, yeah.
So how did you get involved with Merrimack Valley Hospice?
Well, I decided that I wanted to do, okay, sit still. I wanted to do pet therapy in a particular setting. I wasn't comfortable in nursing homes, in part because my mother-in-law, who has since passed away, but she was still there. So that was upsetting for me to be in that environment. And what I like about the hospice house, first of all, it's a beautiful setting, but I think that when people are in hospice, there's a greater level of acceptance that death is coming. Not that we ever know when, but that it's coming. And not that everybody's always perfectly accepting of it, but you can acknowledge it. You can have conversations about it. You know, you're not pretending. Like, we would leave my mother-in-law and we would say, well, have a good day. And then we think, what are we actually saying? You know, she was 92. And so I just like the environment of being in hospice. And we believe that your life matters until the very last moment. And so
Which
anything we can do to make you more comfortable, anything we can do to ease your transition is a good thing.
Now, the hospice house is in Haverhill, correct?
Yes.
And does that have a special name or?
Merrimack Valley Hospice House.
Okay. From what I understand, it's a lovely place.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's so serene when you enter it. It almost feels like you're in a spa or you've gone to another
that's a good description.
place.
Yeah.
There's a sanctuary there. There's a meditation garden that's sort of a courtyard, so there's 3 entrances to the garden. There's a beautiful sculpture out back that Dale Rogers did, same person who did the big dog on 495.
Yes.
But this is different. It fits much more with the setting.
Yes, it does.
And the suites themselves, where the patients and families stay, are amazing. The beds roll outside, so if someone wants to go out to the path that's out back on conservation property, you can literally roll the bed out there. Families are welcome to stay. There's a pull-out sofa. I mean, the suites themselves are bigger than my first apartment.
Families can stay overnight?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really? Okay, that's different.
Yeah.
I imagine in the nice weather you see all these beds outside.
Well, everybody has their own private patio, so
Yes.
it's not like they're lined up next to each other.
How did the families of the patients react to MiniMe?
Oh, they love seeing MiniMe, and she's famous there now because we've been going for more than a year. So they will hear a dog coming down the hallway, and they will hear the staff saying, "Oh, look, it's MiniMe." And that's right, isn't that right? Yes, thank you. That's very sweet. Yes. So she always knows when they're talking about her, and her tail starts wagging. And you know, many of the people I visit love dogs, have dogs, are missing their dogs. Other people don't actually care about dogs, but she's very entertaining. She knows about 30 different tricks, so sometimes we'll do tricks for them. We were there one day, and there was a very, very large family, multi-generational family, and we went out on the balcony with a 5-year-old boy and his little brother, and they were doing tricks with Minnie. The 5-year-old was actually giving her treats, so then, of course, the 3-year-old wanted to do it. So, you know, so for 20 minutes, I kept them out of the room, entertained, thinking about something other than the fact that their grandfather was dying, and they had no idea what that meant, but everybody was sad.
Okay.
And, so that's part of what we do, is just entertainment, just distraction.
Now, do you see hospice patients anyplace else other than in the hospice house?
I do. I also volunteer in the community. So I see some people in nursing homes. I see some people in their own homes. I see some people in assisted living. So people can be on hospice services in any number of settings. They don't have to come to the house. Before I went through training, I thought it was a progression. Like, I thought you started at your house and then you went to someplace else and then you ended up at the hospice house. But people only come to the hospice house if they can't be served wherever they are.
We had hospice in for my mom.
So
at
you're
home.
familiar with that? Yep.
At home.
Yep.
And it worked out wonderfully for her. Now, most people would think working in a hospice house would be depressing. Do you find that with the staff, or?
It's the complete opposite. It's rewarding. I think the people, we watched this video recently called Celebrate What's Right with the World, and I think the staff and the volunteers have that attitude that we're receiving gifts by being included in people's lives at the end of their life. And everyone's so positive, the doctors, the nurses, the volunteers, the social worker, the chaplains. It's just an amazing team.
It's the most common reaction I get when I tell people that I'm a hospice volunteer. They say to me, "Oh, bless you, and that must be so depressing." And I say it's not depressing. I mean, first of all, they're not my loved ones who are dying, right? So that's a different kind of grief. And sometimes it's sad, and sometimes we cry, and that's okay. But, for me, death is another passage in life, and if we can make that easier for people, then that's really important. And MiniMe has her own Facebook page, and because she's famous. And there's a woman locally who's, I was seeing her dad, and she would take pictures of MiniMe when she was visiting, and she's on Facebook, and I'm on Facebook, so we've been sharing the pictures on Facebook. And we visited him. He was in a nursing home. We visited him every week for 5 months. And MiniMe and he had a really strong connection. He had never had dogs because his wife didn't like him, but he had always loved dogs. And if we went to the nursing home, if I let Minnie loose at the front door, which I didn't, she could have found her way down the hall, down this hall, past the first bed, right to his lap. That's how connected they were. And he had advanced Alzheimer's, and many days was not at all responsive, but when MiniMe was in his lap, he would move his arms and he would pet her. And we recently went to the memorial service for him, so MiniMe got to go to church for the first time. And we were there for an hour and a half, and she woofed once, and that was it.
You are so special.
Yeah. She was very impressive.
You're a cutie. And she just stares at you with those dark eyes like, okay.
Right. What are we doing now?
No.
What are we doing now? Right. Right.
What kind of support do the volunteers get?
We offer different types of support depending on what people need. There's about 160, 165 volunteers. So I can provide support, or they can call our bereavement counselors if they're struggling with the loss of someone they've been visiting. We also do 2 volunteer support meetings each month, one daytime and one evening meeting. And of course the staff that they work with, social workers, chaplains, are also available for support. And I think each other.
Yes, I've been able to take advantage of all of that stuff. There was a woman that was at our house for a long time, for months, which is unusual, and she got very attached to MiniMe. She had a dog at home, so when she left home, she left her dog. And she was aware enough and well enough when we first met her that she would say, "Oh, it's Tuesday. MiniMe comes in on Tuesdays." And again, MiniMe would go right from the front door right to her room. Like, we could not visit anybody else until we went to visit this particular woman. And I came in one day and she had died. And I was taken aback. And she had been really well, and she went downhill suddenly. I'm there once a week, so she went downhill suddenly after I was there. And I was very upset and didn't know what to do with my upset. And Andrea happened to be there for a meeting, and I asked her if she had time to talk to me, and we sat and talked about it. And that was helpful. And I share my shift with 2 other women, one of whom does Reiki energy work. And another woman is a multi-purpose volunteer. She works in the kitchen, she works the front desk, she feeds people, she sits with people, she does everything. And so we typically take a coffee break together halfway through our shift and talk about what's happening that day and who should we go visit and things like that. And then just tell stories. And then we go to the volunteer support groups.
Now,
go ahead.
How many rooms or suites does the house have?
It recently expanded to 21. It was 14, and this year, well, within the last 12 months, we've been able to expand to 21, which is fantastic because the community definitely needs the extra 7 suites. She's so cute.
She's getting her treats.
Look at her. Hi.
So each suite would have, you said it has, of course, the hospital bed and a couch that pulls out for a bed for somebody to stay over. What else is in the suite?
There's a small dining room set with a table, a couple chairs, microwave, refrigerator that's a little bigger than a dorm-size refrigerator. Plus the families have access to other shared spaces. So there's a family room for each of the 7 rooms. So each wing is 7 suites. And at the end of that, there's a family area with a big TV. So if someone wants to go watch something that might be a little loud or obnoxious for their loved one, they can go out there. There's a cafe area that's shared with everybody, a children's room that's shared with everybody, and a couple of small rooms where if people want to go someplace quiet and be alone for a little bit, they can do that too.
So people will typically come in like during a night, a big family will gather and they'll go get food at someplace like the Chicken Connection in Haverhill.
Yeah.
And then they bring it in and there's spaces where they can all sit together. And I recently sat and did a vigil with someone, which means he was, as we say, actively dying. He was very close to the end. And there are medical signs that go along with that, so the doctors and nurses can actually tell that. Not to the minute or the hour, but anyway, they had some warm food delivered. And I said to them, why don't you go out and eat together and I'll sit. And so I just sat there for half an hour with the person. And Minnie, in that case, did not sit with him because he was actively dying. She sat on a chair next to me. And I told her we were just going to sit there. And she stretched out on a little chair like that and fell asleep. And she just slept until the family came back in. And because otherwise one person would stay and then everyone would feel rushed. And you just don't get that many minutes to breathe when you're about to lose a loved one. And so that's what we get to offer people. And it's so rewarding. And I always feel that it's an honor and a privilege to be allowed to be in someone's life at the end, and that their family members trust us with them, is a valuable thing. So.
Now, you said you have 100 and how many volunteers?
165.
That's a lot of volunteers.
It is. And
Do you
we
have?
Still need more.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. Do you still have openings?
Yes. We need more volunteers at the hospice house as well as people who are open to visiting people in the community wherever they call home.
And what kind of training did they go through?
We do a 16-hour training for all volunteers who want to visit with patients and families. There's a couple other opportunities that don't require that, but in those 16 hours we do everything from talking about what hospice is to facing our own mortality, learning communication skills, and then going over some practical things like infection control and documenting your visits and those types of things.
So they're trained for in someone else's home as well as at the hospice house?
Yes, so anyone who wants to volunteer at the house or doing home visits has to go through this training. If they're interested in our Threshold Singers group, they don't have to necessarily go through the training. And the Threshold Singers is a group that rehearses twice a month together at a church in North Andover. And they don't rehearse like a traditional choir at all. They're not trained to sing to the back of the room, but they're trained to sing softly, a cappella, and they go out in 2 or 3. Now I'm going to cry.
Okay.
But it's awesome. It's so beautiful. They'll go sing bedside to somebody with just 2 or 3 really soft songs. If they know that someone likes show tunes, they might, liven it up a little. But most of the time they're going out to do something that's connecting with somebody near the end of their life. And it's just an amazing group of people.
And they're volunteers as well.
They're volunteers, yes. And then we also have a keepsake program where people will take the blanket or clothing from somebody that they've loved who's died and make it into a teddy bear or a pillow, and they are the cutest, the absolutely cutest. I love and we need more singers and we need more sewers as well as the volunteers who do the visits.
She's just so cute.
She is.
What other types of programs do you have?
Merrimack Valley Hospice also offers bereavement services, and those are open to anybody who's had a loss, whether they've been on hospice or it's been a sudden death, or it's somebody might have been on hospice in another state, but they're here in our community. We can offer individual or group support, and we also have expressive therapy for patients and families. We have the expressive therapist does music and art with people and helps them process what's going on with them.
So at any given time, that place is full.
Yes.
With lots of people. Now, how many volunteers would be on duty at a time?
Typically, we have somebody in the kitchen. We cover about 20 hours greeting at the front desk, and then we have other people, usually 2 at a time, going around to visit with folks like Kathleen and MiniMe.
So there's lots of opportunities for people to jump in.
Absolutely.
What can the community do to help out?
Well, in addition to contacting me if people are interested in volunteering, some people aren't comfortable. They might recognize the value of the work that we do, but might not feel comfortable about visiting people and not have the same perspective that we might. So there's other ways to contribute, whether it's volunteering in the office or volunteering or offering time or donations. The bereavement services, the expressive therapy are not funded by insurance, so we pay for those with donations from individuals, corporations, foundations, and the house with the third, the expansion, we're still working on raising money for the expansion project.
I can imagine. Now, is there a website for the house?
It's MerrimackValleyHospice.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. MiniMe, how you doing? You've been getting treats all over the place, huh?
See your tail wagging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knows we're talking about her, and she knows we're giving her treats.
So MiniMe is really good at adjusting as we go into a room to visit people. And, if there's young people in there, then she'll be lively and do tricks with them. If it's quiet in there, she'll be quiet. Often she gets in bed with the person and will lay next to him. And we've been with a number of people who are not at all responsive. And she just lays next to them and she finds a way to curl up next to them, and then she goes to sleep. And I believe that they can feel a presence, that they can tell there's a warm, breathing body next to them, and that's comforting to them regardless of how they feel about dogs or anything else. So it's really, it's a wonderful experience for us. And for me personally, one of the things that I've gotten out of it is that it really helps to keep my priorities clear. That when I'm there, like I was really involved with this family, and this woman was in her 40s dying of pancreatic cancer. And she lasted 14 months. I mean, she lasted longer than we used to think people would. But, when I leave there, I don't get upset about having to wait at a red light. I don't talk on my phone when I leave there. I just have to be for a while. And, that's a good thing for me. And it helps me to appreciate my life every day. And just because I haven't been told that I'm dying, right? People say, well, you're working with people who are dying. Well, we're all dying. These people have just been told that. They've been certified by a doctor, right, that they have 6 months or less to live. But that's all. It's just a guess. And there's a lot of mystery to it,
How long can someone stay in the house? You said there was a lady there for 14 months.
No, she was sick with pancreatic. She survived with pancreatic cancer for 14 months.
Okay.
She was with us for, I think, 3. But that's longer than a lot of people.
And the amount of time someone stays on the house really depends on their need.
And,
it can vary quite a bit.
people go home from the house. People don't always die there. Some people go home from the house. Sometimes people come in for pain management, kind of like your mom. They're at home getting hospice services and doing fine, but they have some kind of crisis around their pain management, and the family is not skilled enough to cope with it. They'll come to the house for 3 or 4 days, get their pains leveled out, their meds leveled out, and then they go back home.
Okay, so there are all kinds of options.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I think is fascinating, and one of the myths about hospice, is that, people go on hospice means you've given up and that you're dying soon, or that we kill people. We give them too much morphine and they die sooner. And statistically, people live longer on hospice. Because they come on hospice, they're getting more services, they get rehydrated, they get an appetite back, they're not in pain, so they start eating, they start drinking, the families get some relief. I got a request to go to a family's house early in the morning so the husband could go to daily mass because he's the primary caretaker, and that's very stressful. So, we offer all that kind of comfort, and I would like people to be more open to hospice, to learn more about it, because most of us don't know anything about it. So,
And it has changed. It has really evolved over the last 15 or 20 years.
Yep.
Because years ago, that's exactly how people felt. Okay, hospice is there, so
it's all
get
over.
ready any day.
Exactly. Right. Yep.
And that's not necessarily true.
No, not true.
Okay, what's the best part about doing what you do?
Oh, I get to meet people like Kathleen. Really. I supervise this huge group of wonderful, amazing people who are donating their time to us and all have an amazing attitude about life.
And what's the best part that you get out of it?
I think for me the best part is being able to share MiniMe with the world and just watch how she's a magical dog. I mean, she's cute, she's friendly, she's smart, she does tricks, she likes to be with people. And I was with a family yesterday, a grandfather and 3 teenage kids while their dad is in the other room. And they just had a blast with her. We spent like half an hour with them in the cafe. And one of them actually said to me, "This is really great. Boy, have you made a difference in our day."
Yeah.
It's like, awesome. I mean, I like my
I'm
life.
going to cry.
I like my life to be about being of service to people, and I get to do that in lots of different ways. And this is just the newest way that I'm doing it, and it's just really meaningful. And simple stuff. A woman asked me yesterday if I could bring her a cup of ice, crushed ice with a spoon, and I felt good that I could do that. So, you know, it's the same thing with the guy that wants to go to church in the morning. So if I can give him an hour and a half of my time, and he gets an hour of relief and gets to go to what's really important to him, I feel awesome about that.
And you should.
And the volunteers, as Andrea said, the volunteers are just great. We have these monthly volunteer meetings. We're reading books, a lot of different books on death and dying related topics. And so I'm learning a lot about that stuff, about different beliefs about what happens after you die. And they're a very interesting group of people, the volunteers. So, okay.
Well, I'd like to thank you both for coming. I'm sorry, all 3 of you for coming.
Oh, MiniMe, she almost forgot you.
Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you, Beverly. Good to see you again.
Can I have a paw? Huh?
You do paw? She will. She'll give you,
she says, "No, I think I'm flying here."
She'll give you a big kiss.
So, if you are looking for some place to volunteer, looking for something to do with your time, and would like to give back to the community, this could be a perfect opportunity. I'm Beverly Enos. You're watching Spotlight Georgetown. Thank you for joining us. Bye for now.